some movies or franchises like Star Wars, prequels are not needed, in my opinion. Some information is not needed to be shared. The original trilogy of Star Wars gave us characters that we loved, that we hated. Our imagination took us to places where we thought how they came to be or what have you. Also, the groundwork of what was said in those movies gave us a clear of who that person was or who these people were. I have to say, after watching the earliest screening of Transformers 1, I'm happy they did a prequel.
They actually
If it is a
changed
true,
they changed the origin.
well, you'll let me know that because you're a Transformers nut more than I am. You collected, you're hardcore on the show and all that stuff. You can let me know about what they changed if you remember from the series and from the individual movies. Also the live action. I know the live action they changed as well. On Rotten Tomatoes, as of now, since we did an early screening, 89% by the critics and 0% by the audience. No one has put their 2 cents in. Maybe after this early preview or early viewing, they'll probably put in their 2 cents.
Yeah.
Roll out. Oh, that was good. That was a good one.
That was the best impersonation you've done in a long time.
Yeah. Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. My name is Angel.
I'm Don.
Where we give you a review at least once a week. Spoiler alert. How was your audience?
The theater was packed.
Yes.
Mostly kids, let's be honest.
Well, yes, of course. It was mostly kids.
And those over 40. But
right. It was like, there's no really teens. It was either like kids or like
I did have some
our
teens.
generation.
Like, there was like some teens and like sitting behind me and whatnot. Yeah, it was funny.
When I bought the tickets, it was hardly anyone booked.
So my theater doesn't tell you the seatings. So I just didn't know. And I walked in, I'm like, damn. And then more people kept coming in.
Don't you get assigned seats?
No, my theater. I have to drive out further to get to the assigned seating. The one near me closest, they don't carry anymore.
Oh, so here we have assigned seats. So I know where to pick. And you know how I don't like being crowded.
I actually wish my theater was like that.
What do you mean?
Where they let me assign a seat and they have good, comfortable, like reclining seats.
I thought you said your theater doesn't do that.
I said I wish they did.
Oh, you wish. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I get the seats that's like near the disabled person.
Yeah.
And so no one can sit next to me. And then I get Kim to get her seat, or we switch, or whatever. We get to a spot that no one sits.
Yeah.
But then we get there and there's people sitting next to us.
Or they're in your seat.
Look,
that's happened to me. And I'm like, bro, you're in my seat.
Right. But like I saw these people, they're like, go to one seat. I guess people just sat there and they went to somewhere else. And so people who booked their seats, it's like on a plane. If you bought a ticket for an aisle or a window,
you expect to sit there.
Yes, exactly.
But then there's those people that were like, oh, but I don't like to see or da da da. Well, like, that's not my problem.
Exactly. That's no one's problem except you. Yeah, the theater was packed more than I anticipated.
Were they responsive to the movie?
Yes, once or twice.
Yeah. There was a few times where, like, setting aside kids, and that's understandable. But like, there was one point where it's like Optimus Prime, and he says roll out, and you hear one guy, yeah, and everybody just started clapping.
Oh, see, no.
Or they showed Optimus Prime and it happened again. It was like we were laughing at on the right cues for laughing, but still.
Right. No, yeah. Well, from Bumblebees. Bumblebee was hilarious.
I get to work for the government. Whoa!
Yeah, I know. Or this is Steve. They're like, Steve? He's not from around here.
Have blades for hands. He was great.
No, he was awesome. Keaton Michael Key. He was awesome. And, he was also in the Mario Brothers movie. He was the mushroom guy. Whatever.
Yeah, he was Toadstool.
Right. And he's really good at on those side characters that really make an impression. Audience really cheered when Optimus Prime became Optimus Prime.
Yeah, that was the other moment that people were like,
yes.
Woo! And they start clapping.
Right. They're like, yes! And he flies up. Yeah, I was really surprised how packed it was. Did you stay for the end credit?
Both credit scenes, yes.
Both credits?
There's two.
Oh, there's a mid-credit and then there's an end credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I was like, because I didn't know, and you can tell me more in the sense of where they differed from the lore and all the stuff, but I didn't know, I didn't understand, and it made sense here, like why they're called Decepticons.
Yes.
And it was more like a religion aspect. My approach.
Their society is a mix of like both politics and religion. It's just a dangerous combination.
Oh,
Um,
yes. We're
it,
dealing that with now, right?
exactly. The whole spirituality of like Primus and the need for the spark and energon,
Mhm,
that it's their life source, but it's also a
mhm.
spiritual source for them. But then the politics of like the upper class and lower class and maintaining those classes and fighting against those, it's literally the whole premise of Transformers is all a large civil war.
This is like the second one in a way.
Um,
Because, well, when the primes were taken out, that was kind of like a civil war in
that
a
was a
way.
coup.
Right. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
Right. But weren't they trying to fight? Who's the ones with the tentacles?
Why can't I say their names now? And it's funny they don't even say their name. They don't even
Right.
speak,
But
which
I
they do
recognize them.
speak. They're
But I recognize them
basically
from the series and from the movie.
yeah. So that was one thing to talk about that is retconned here. So in the
Mhm.
original storyline, yeah, Primus is what started it, but they were also these creatures were also the builders of the Transformers as well.
So again, this is like the second Civil War in a way with Megatron and Optimus.
Correct. They just didn't establish that these creatures were the ones that helped to
No,
build
of
them.
course.
Yeah.
Right. But they're part of the planet.
They're
Of
not
the
from that planet. No.
Oh no? Okay.
No, 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 no.
Okay, so before we go any further into what we liked and or any faux pas, if you will, of course there's faux pas, but how do they rebirth the lore, if you will? Like from what you know, what did they change? What was clear of a change? Because again, I don't really know. I just know like
So
what I know, but
they
not that much.
they honestly stayed pretty close in a lot of ways. Like the overall arc of the story, right?
Mhm.
The persona of Orion Pax was arguably the biggest change. Orion Pax was like your goody goody, really kind hearted guy, and he was best friends with Megatron before he became the Megatron, D16.
Oh, so that's true?
Yeah, they
They were
were
they
they
were
were
okay.
friends. They knew each other, but he did get betrayed. He did end up dying, or he was on his deathbed. And I want to say instead of Primus, I want to say it was Alpha Trion that helped rebuild him into becoming Optimus Prime. So the whole first half of the movie where he's like rebel without a cause, like let them see who we are and so forth like that, and kind of like a rebel always getting in trouble. That wasn't him in the origin. He was like the bookkeeper. He was the guy always making sure things were right. He was closer to what D16 was. Stay in line, follow the rules, do the stuff.
Mhm,
And Megatron's character was more, and granted, this is all head canon for me, but
mhm.
Megatron was like, no, we should step up. We should rebel against these people. We should, go against this. Like they're keeping
Right,
us oppressed.
right.
And then he flipped the tables. Now, in
Well,
some
it
some
seems
some
it's
storylines, they did change it where they were minors, and some storylines they changed it that Megatron was a gladiator.
so
OG that I remember.
they were minors prior as
And
well.
there's different versions. Like there's a
Oh,
multiverse, but the OG
uh-huh.
OG, I don't think they were minors. I want to say Orion Pax was like an accountant. He was like the bookkeeper kind of guy.
Right, 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 right.
Yeah, so he was used to get to information and get energon, but he wasn't a minor to my memory.
What you're saying there is like they took a lot of influences from different
Storylines and
stories.
timelines, yeah,
Right.
and fused them
Okay.
together.
Mm.
But the essence of like they were friends, they one betrays the other, is all a civil war, and this is the beginning of the divide that creates the Autobots and the Decepticons
Right.
war. The essence is there.
Before Megatron, his name was D what?
16.
D16. Why D16 and not like a name like Orion Pax?
They're not all with actual names like
Because B, yeah, B is like his name is B or Badassatron or something like that. He said,
well,
I
technically
can't remember.
his name is B127. He's like,
Right.
but my friends call me Badassatron. The best is when he's talking to Alita 1 about it. He just keeps Badassatron.
Right. And as I'm saying, it's like, all right, enough in a way. So it's like, he sounded more like
Sound worse.
Megatron. No, he sounded like more like Megatron.
Kind of, yeah. Like, but Megatron sounded like Megatron by the end.
True, but I'm just saying, like when he did the voice for or Badass Tron,
Yeah.
that was just funny. Did you hear the callback they did on their competition at the time when Transformers came out?
Oh, GoBots.
There was yes,
Yes.
and then what's her name? Alita. says it.
Should like take your go buys.
I was like, oh my god, they did that.
Which
That's
fun
a dig.
fact?
That's a
GoBots are not robots.
they're
They're actually
GoBots.
well, yeah. I mean, technically, they're cybernetic organisms. They were living organisms that fused metal to themselves. I did not know that until recently.
The bad guy was a motorcycle.
Yeah,
Who's the hero? I can't remember the hero. Who was the?
it
What
was
was his
it was
shape?
a jet plane, like the reverse of Starscream.
But also Megatron originally was
A gun.
a firearm, a gun.
Yeah.
Then they changed it up to a tank, which makes more sense because how can he be that big and then get that small as a handgun, which makes no sense. Where a tank totally makes sense.
The original cartoon was very convoluted in a lot of ways because they would do what's called mass shifting. So like that's like how Soundwave can turn into a cassette deck.
No, he doesn't. Oh, a cassette deck. Sorry, or a radio.
Yeah.
Right.
So like
okay.
And he's as big as Megatron. He went through a lot of changes over the years, from a to a tank to a spacecraft.
They kept the eye scope and they made it as a barrel.
Yes,
which was cool. I like that they made it as a barrel, especially when they came out when he was really angry and when he's beating up. Oh no, it was John Hamm, but what was his name again?
Sentinel Prime.
The voice acting was great.
Yes.
I mean, granted, I would love to have the original Optimus Prime, but of course he's older now, so this is more for a new generation of actors and shows and movies. And Chris Hemsworth did a great job overall for his voice. He was able to drop it down a little bit here and there.
As he was becoming more Optimus-like, his voice was adapting to that more so.
As well as Megatron was going into his iconic voice as well.
Yes. Which I was skeptical as him as the voice for Megatron. And I never watched any of the trailers, so as I was watching, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing the process, I'm seeing you get there, and I'm liking it.
I liked how they did it, and they did a nice flashback. They showed a real quick flashback of how they met.
Yeah.
And who his hero was. So, or D16 heroes, what his hero was. He had two heroes, actually. Yep. It was Megatronus Prime. Is it Megatronus Prime?
Yeah, I think it was Megatronus.
Sentinel was his second hero. Since the other ones, he's alive, where Megatronus was dead.
Yes.
So Sentinel became the substitute hero. And then you see him flip. He gets disappointed. Now, granted, I personally think we should have seen more of that transformation because to me, it felt kind of quick.
There should have been a little bit more undertone, like leading.
Right. I mean, granted, we see when they get portrayed by Sentinel, you see him sitting down by himself, alone, and he's like in a shell in a way that he's just like letting it ferment, and then he just snaps. Well, I can understand that he was like fooled and duped, and he didn't like that. But it should have been more of a buildup, in my opinion. Kind of like with Anakin in the prequels.
Yeah.
Like we don't really see him really change. You see him like lose a bit here, lose a bit there. Like there's a deleted scene in episode 1 where he attacks Greedo or that species. He loses his temper.
I'm not disagreeing with you. For me, I kind of think the first 2/3 of the film or the first half of the film, their personas should have been swapped. Orion Pax should have been like, more
of a goody two shoes.
Goody two shoes. Like when he was about to be punched, he punched Orion Pax. It should have been the other way around because Orion Pax was the one that was sneaking in trying to find stuff.
I don't really mind that because Marvel,
but I think that would have added to the flip better.
Possibly, but you have the thing here, like as I said, I mentioned Marvels, the MCU. Tony Stark, he was reckless. He was crazy, right? Then you have Captain America, where he was straight by the book. At the end of Endgame, towards Endgame, who sacrifices himself for the greater good? Tony Stark does.
Yeah.
The person who was once reckless, who did whatever he wanted, what have you. Then you have Steve Rogers, who was goody two-shoes, straight by the book, that he returns the gems, but he stays back, an act of selfishness, to be with Peggy.
Okay, I see.
So you see those two personas change in a way. Now, granted, that takes in the sense of 20 films where we see this in 90 minutes.
True.
In one film. But I don't mind that. You see like where Orion Pax has to step up. He can't be so reckless.
Yeah.
Where you have a guy who is following the book all the time and then he gets duped. He gets duped by Sentinel multiple times, but mainly with that one where he lies in his face, or you guys are going to be celebrated and all that stuff, and they get put him into the 50th floor.
So I took it a step further because he's been lied to his face by everything.
Even by his best friend.
Even by his best friend on multiple occasions.
Well, we see it in the race.
And he finds out, like, not only has his idol has betrayed him. His idol killed his previous idol. And like on top of which they literally been, I guess, disfigured is the best term. Like they've taken a part of them, a core part of them, out since conception.
Oh, yeah, because you can't transform because everyone's
Exactly.
supposed to transform.
Exactly.
Everyone's
That's
supposed to.
their entire species thing. And
They didn't know it, so yeah.
exactly. And then they've been subjugated, pushed into relative slavery.
Is that in the origins too that they couldn't transform?
No, to my recollection, that wasn't part of the origins on it. I mean, that's a
They
good
could always
twist. Yeah.
right.
There is a like a part of them that you could take out that would disable them from transforming. That is true, but that wasn't, to my knowledge, a thing as an enslavement action.
Okay. I
It's
mean,
wild, dude. Like when you're thinking about adding those pieces together, I don't blame the character for flipping.
well, it's kind of like Joker in the comics where he has
Mhm.
one bad day. Well, granted, the Killing Joke, he's going through multiple bad things, and it was just one that actually just
Push
turned
it
the
over the
tail.
edge. That's
Right.
all one bad day is. It's like you can have
Right.
multiple bad days, but it just takes one. This is his
Well,
bad day.
I can't. Yeah, but the thing is also like he may not agree with Orient Pax, but at the end of it, at the end of the experience, he's like, "Wow, thank you," because he did that when they escaped. When they did the race, he was like, "No, no, no, no." But when he's in the race,
He's
he's
enjoying
like,
it.
"Yes." He's like, "Wow."
Mhm.
And then when they escape, he's like, "No, no." But when they escape, hey man, I'm having a good time. This is wow. This is an adventure. Thank you.
Because he's
He's
looking
like,
at like the things that could be really good. That like Orion Pax is always promising him like if we do this, we may be in trouble down, but we're getting something good. But there are always plans that fail, and he keeps reminding him, "Is like go with you on this plan because it seems like it's a good idea, but they all fail, and we always
right.
get in more and more trouble because of it."
That's true.
At the end, when he let go Orion, and Orion comes back as Optimus, and he doesn't call, he just calls him Prime
Well, he knows.
because he recognized that the Matrix was there.
Right.
So, yeah, but to him at this stage, all primes is just a representation of a lie, of a leader taking over to control the people and subjugate the people. Even though for
Oh.
him, in his eyes, the only proper leader is him because he can't trust anybody else. So
Right.
he
Well,
should be the one
he
leading.
says that.
Yeah.
He says that at the end credit. And I like that. I didn't know why. I mean, I understand Autobots because
Mhm.
that makes sense. But Decepticons, like, why are they called Decepticons? And I was like, I don't get
It's
it.
like
I
John
don't get
Cena in
it.
that one movie just says like they literally call themselves Decepticons. You gonna trust them?
Right. Right. But here, what was so cool about it, why they were called Decepticons is because they were deceived
Yes,
by the promised one
and they
or the chosen
believe
one.
that even though that they have a new promised one, that's still a lie, and so it's like
Right.
a rebellion against that lie.
Right. Even yeah, because the way I took it when originally Decepticons were they're the bad guys because they're going to deceive you,
It's
what
in their
have you.
name.
They right, but here they're taking it away as I hate to say this, they're taking it as like the N word by the black community. They make it powerful for them,
I guess so. I get, yeah, I see
right?
where you're coming from.
When they were called the N word back in the slaves and all that, and when people say it now and it's a derogatory term,
Mhm.
they embrace it because they were deceived, not anymore, and so they make it their strength with that identification.
Okay,
That's how I took it, and again, it's very religious because of the god of the
Primus,
prime, huh?
Primus,
Well, the
Megan Fox,
making us making Fox,
Megalops.
making us prime. They're like gods to them. And then you have Sentinel, who is maybe not a god, but a world leader.
Well, everybody thought he was a prime, and that's when Alpha Trion was like, he's a false prime.
Hmm. Right.
Mhm.
Now, who was your favorite character, though?
Bumblebee stole the show.
But was he ever called Bumblebee?
No, no. Bumblebee
No.
technically comes like later on because he says, "Call me B127, call me
Call me
B,
B.
or call
Call
me."
me.
Badassatron.
Bumblebee gets adopted later on as his character grows.
Okay.
I mean,
But
they do
but the
adopt
thing is,
like Earth names, like there's Jazz.
right. But we don't know Jazz. We don't recognize him
I did.
because he's not. You recognize him right away?
I did. Their silhouettes. I was like, I recognized Jazz. There was Ironhide. I saw RC, Chromia. I was like spotting them. I'm like, holy.
As their minor counterparts?
As their minor counterparts, and then as they were transformed at the end, I'm like, I knew it.
Well,
I mean,
that
their
stuff. I don't.
designs are actually pretty darn close to the OG.
Mhm. But it's a shame that he didn't change to a buggy. It would have been kind of cool because Optimus Prime changes to a
So
freaking truck. She turns.
true,
She's like what? She's like a
but
motorcycle.
kind of, yeah, yeah. Like Chromia, RC, and Elita One are like motorcycle types. They don't get their buggy and true truck forms and vehicle forms until they hit Earth. When they crash land on Earth and they scan the
Yeah.
vehicles.
Are you sure in the animation?
Hmm. So what happened
Really?
was like the Civil War goes on for centuries, and
Hmm.
it to the point where it actually causes more damage to the planet. And again, the energon becomes shortage now because of the war.
Hmm.
So now they have to escape,
Hmm.
and in the process of escape, also look for other resources. And they find Earth. Megatron, I mean, the guy that he is like, nah, you're not getting away on my watch. So they leave on the what's called the Ark. Megatron chases them down on the Nemesis.
Hmm.
A battle ensues. They crash land on Earth during like prehistoric times, and then after like millennia, eventually like a earthquake or mountain gives way and exposes the ship, and then launches a probe and starts scanning various vehicles.
That's covered in the live action too, right?
Well, they
More or
like
less.
more or less like the live action is they scan it themselves, like they infiltrate.
Hmm.
They didn't. They
Hmm.
weren't. They've been here the entire time, basically.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
we through the many incarnations of the live action films, there like you have the prehistoric ones, you have the
Hmm.
gorillas, whatever, blah blah blah, and then what we know now with Optimus Prime and Megatron.
They were in hibernation, basically.
This animation felt like it honored what was laid out in on multiple levels in the sense of live action, the animation films, the
I can say that.
cartoon, maybe some of the comic books. We saw it here in the sense of how certain things came to be. I loved Starscream. I loved how we found out how he got his voice.
Steve Buscemi, man.
Oh my god, he was awesome. It was
I
so
didn't know he
iconic.
was in it, and I heard his voice instantly. I was Steve Buscemi.
And then to see how his voice got warped or how we know it's warped
Mm-hmm.
in a sense from the cartoon, the same voice that's Cobra Commander from G.I. Joe
Yeah,
is like, oh, so he's like being choked in his voice box, kind of
it's
like Bumblebee,
yeah, it gets
kind of
damaged
like
and like
Bumblebee
it's
gets
always
damaged.
distorted. Yeah,
Lawrence Fishburne, I was like, holy
as
crap. At
Alpha
one time I
Triton.
forgot, but I forgot that he was in it because he starts the narration.
Oh, okay.
But then when we see him in character, for some reason, I was thinking of Keith David. So why is Keith David in this one too? I was like, wait a minute, no,
He's
no,
in
that's not
everything.
Keith David. That's not him. Okay, that's Lawrence Fishburne again. Okay, all right. And then he does this, he says a line, and that reminds me of like Morpheus,
Oh,
you have to choose, or something like that.
it's like one can be when you're talking about the one, and it's like,
No, no, it's like you have to, it's almost like red pill or the blue pill, kind of that
oh, it's like
dialogue. I
he's
can't
talking about
remember.
like take the core from my fellow primes, and you choose how you evolve or
Yes,
whatever, something like that.
right. It's like a yes. It's like when he was talking to more to Neo. Only you can choose.
Hmm.
So like that.
I like
So I
the
was like, oh,
line
oh,
he
oh man.
did when they infiltrated, and he's telling him like, "Your battle's out there, my battle's here," or something along those lines.
Right.
And he turns around, and
Yes.
they're like, "I was like, oh, they called him Old One or Old." He goes, "Old am I?" And then he just wrecks them.
Right. I was very entertained by this. And I was happily entertained by that. I was happily shocked because we've seen all these Transformers.
They're not all gems.
No, right, but we get exhausted,
Hmm.
right? Just like the MCU movies and the DC movies, also we get exhausted. The Star Wars shows, we do get exhausted. When they're able to bring a refreshing take, oh, I appreciate it. I absolutely love it. What about weakest? Because I have a weakest character for me.
Was it Arachnid?
No, Alita.
Oh, you didn't like Alita.
I don't like Scarlett Johansson. It felt like she just reads the lines. It's
Although
what it
it,
is.
it was funny when she punched out Shockwave. She punched me in the
Right.
eye.
There's one eye. But that's action. That's not her acting.
No, this
You
is
know, you know
true.
what I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like it is
You didn't like
it
the
just
moment when
felt
she's like, "I'm going to tell you something. This is going to be very important.
I'm
I'm
better
better
than
than
you.
you."
Well, yeah, but the thing is, she just reads the lines. She used to be a really good actress, but now she's just like saying the words.
So basically, the performance that you got was you didn't get the same feeling
No, everyone else.
portrayed.
I mean, I want to see behind the scenes in the sense like, was this done in similar to Avatar?
Hmm.
Meaning like there's people on a stage, they're acting out, they have the body suits, and they're sitting down, they're walking, they're doing all this stuff. I wonder if they did that to capture because some of the movements felt very natural,
Yeah,
even
I would
though
say.
and I can see them acting together, and it makes total sense instead of having the animation because that's how it is. And many video games, motion capture is on a room. They're talking Avatar,
Oh
Beowulf.
yeah, that one.
The action they're on a stage.
I
They have
love
multiple
Beowulf.
cameras. Yeah, it's done very well. And there's on a stage, and all these motion captures are catching their performances, and
Hmm.
then they have the animation to it. So I'm wondering if they did the same thing here because if they did, that would have been awesome.
Would have been cool. It would have been cool.
Her performance against blah blah blah.
It felt very Black Widow.
Yes, yes, it did. What about moments? What was your favorite moment?
Okay, so we already talked about some of the good moments. I would say, like, because I do enjoy Bumblebee when
Mm-hmm.
when he breaks into the room,
Oh,
he goes through the doors,
I
starts.
found it like that.
He points the one to the two on the side, right? He points the blade to them. Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then but I like the end credit where he kills his best friends,
It's like, no.
Steve. Oh, that was very Darth Vader.
Yes. Like every moment that Bumblebee was, it was like, why is he gagged? He was like, he wouldn't stop talking. He was unconscious. Even more
That's
than
when he's. That's when he was talking the most. He was good. He as a character he was great. For scene though, well, I don't know if it's a scene. I like the race scene. It's
the
kind of like the
race.
pod
Yeah,
race.
yeah,
The
that
pod
was
race
actually
scene.
really good. Yeah,
It was really good. But what I liked really though is when the roads, how they just extend.
that yes, that's
I
actually pretty
like that.
cool
That was a really. I mean, it's not just in the race. It's in
for the train.
multiple scenes for the train. All this stuff. I was like, wow, that's really cool. It's just like it kind of
Well, because it, like when you think about it,
like it
the
didn't
planet
lapse. Just
the planet just keeps evolving. Like when they get out
right.
and like you see the gravel of the planet, the mountains start shifting and moving
Hmm.
themselves. Well, that's actually pretty cool. What do you think about the final fight scene between between Sentinel Prime and Megatron?
It was good.
Hmm.
It was good, but I mean, I like the fight with Megatron and Optimus Prime better.
Of course, that
Well,
has to be the better fight.
okay, so you can tell me, is the axe part of it? Because I know he has a sword.
So the
Is the
axe is
axe?
so the sword was more Michael Bay.
Oh, okay.
So the axe is more traditional to Optimus Prime.
Oh,
And
okay.
in actuality, Megatron, I don't know if they would do it later for a sequel, but he has an energy mace, which is a chain and mace ball.
But I liked it because he had the axe on his left hand. He was using it, and
Mhm.
then he transferred it to his right hand. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, okay. But the thing with the Sentinel, he's ripping apart. That felt very also like
Transformers, the first one with Michael Bay, when he tears apart Jazz.
that and Hawk and Wolverine.
Oh,
The Hulk
yeah.
tears him apart, and the same idea. I mean, it's kind of like,
I mean,
well, in the sense of
technically,
Transformers,
Megatron
it's
is supposed to be like they make him seem weaker here than he like in the whole series. He's like one of the strongest.
he seemed pretty damn strong here.
But for the most part, he was pretty dialed down. Like he was like a champion fighter, like
Okay, okay.
and so forth like that. He's a guy like you don't want to ever mess with. Always a little bit taller than Optimus, even after they became primes and stuff like
Okay,
that. Yeah.
okay. What about faux pas? Being you as a Transformer fan, was there something that you did not agree with? Was like a moment that you saw, like, oh, come on.
Oh, and I finally remember the name of the species is the quintessent. I kind of had a little
Did you
issue.
remember, or did you just look it up?
I looked it up, but it is called the quintessent. I did have a little like I thought it was a cool tie-in to bring in the quintessent. My faux pas with them is they made them seem more animalistic. In like we said before, they don't talk; they just growl and stuff like that, like a primal race. When the quintessent in the original series like help build them, they literally have judgment systems.
Mhm.
The judge of the quintessent is like the living tribunal. It has like 3 to 4 heads or 3 to 4
Right,
faces that it
right.
rotates between. They made them just seem like some warring species and whatnot, and like they're actually a really important species, even though they're not heavily tied to the main lore.
If they do a sequel, I think they may be the focus point for the next one.
And that was another thing about like that the war should be the focus point between them. The quintessence pretty much like stayed out of it. Like so I get why they did it to give them some kind of opposition. Like Megatron doesn't care about anybody else but besides Transformers. Like, he doesn't give a damn. Like, that's why, like, when it comes to Earth, he's like, these monkeys, these low species, these, like, he doesn't recognize humans as sentient beings.
No, of course.
Optimus
We
would,
get that.
but Megatron doesn't.
No, of course.
I mean, that's just my little football. It's a small
Mhm.
football to me. It's easily bypassed and look, because it worked still. I just
Right.
was like, eh. Well, what about for you?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really following the lore of the.
Well,
I
I
don't really
mean,
know the lore of the Transformers in a sense.
just in general
Well,
when you're
no,
watching
but
it,
like,
was it just Scarlet?
yeah, but faux pas. I think I had one and I just totally forgot, and it's minor.
Okay.
Oh, maybe it's a faux pas, but I always thought that Optimus Prime had that mask where he just used it now just for war or
So,
battle.
yeah,
Once he became Prime.
in the OG series, he always had the mask. It was never on and off. The mask was permanent, like Soundwave.
Okay.
That changed after later iterations, and especially after Michael Bay. Oh, the mask just comes on for battle.
Did Optimus not have it in the Michael Bay?
Not when he's
I thought
talking.
he always had it.
No, like when he's being civil and talking to people, because a lot of people was cracking jokes that he looks like a monkey, like a horror face.
I can't remember right now. I can't remember the movie in that sense. I always thought he had the face mask. But,
Only when he's fighting.
Okay. No, I don't have it. I mean, right now, there's no faux pas on my end. This was a great, entertaining origin movie of a franchise that. Okay.
I did find it weird that there was an arcade machine.
Oh, but it was hilarious at the same time.
It was absolutely.
It was like Street Fighter.
Yeah,
Street
but then
Fighter
all of a sudden
like
coins
Mortal
start
Kombat.
and I was like, why is there coins dropping out of an arcade machine? Like, I can get having like an arcade machine, like, but now they have coins. There's no currency here.
Was it coin or was it those like square things?
No, it wasn't Energon. It was literal gold coins coming out. I was like, huh?
I don't know. It was just funny. And I was like, why Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter? I was like, isn't there like a Transformer game out there?
Tons of them.
I don't know. Oh, there's a one scene I can't remember. It reminded me of Tron for some reason. I don't know what it was. I thought of Tron for some reason.
Was when he was getting captured by Primus and turning into Optimus Prime?
What, on the fall?
Yeah.
When he was falling?
Yeah.
No, but it felt like something else. Yeah, I can see that.
I know what you're talking about when the quintessence are searching for them and it does the laser beam scanning.
Yes.
And then
Pox and B, they freeze underneath a bridge.
So
kind of thing.
When that happened, in my mind, I was hearing the song from Squid Games, Red Light, Green Light. Literally, that started playing in my head because that's the same pose.
Yes. Maybe that's a deep cut. Easter egg to that.
If you haven't seen it, it's like a little promo they did. Keegan Michael Key did a little skit where he says all the Transformers names.
Substitute teacher.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he did say that, and it was a Megatron.
Megatron.
So like,
yeah, he's a Optimus.
Like
not Optimus. Optimius.
Optimius. Is Optimius here? And there's people laughing in the background to it. Yeah. I remember. I saw that. That was funny. Just to recap again, as the time of this recording, there is no audience score yet. By the critics, it is 89%. Where do you see it at?
I have to say, like 89 is pretty good score. I say it's a solid score for this. Maybe higher.
Yeah. For me, not really knowing the lore, but knowing enough, being a Transformer fan growing up, but not like you, not on the same level. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed it, and I'll give it a solid 90. It's worth the watch.
Worth the watch in the movies?
Yes. I would definitely own it.
Yeah, I would say this will go like well next to my 1985 Transformers movie.
We have to review that one. I remember seeing it, but not really seeing it.
I mean, Alita 1 said they didn't have the touch or the power.
Is that what she said? She said that too?
Yeah,
that's the song.
Yeah,
that's from the song.
She said that to Orion Pax. You don't have the touch nor the power.
You got the touch. The power. Yeah. See, I know that from the movie, but I think didn't they do the movie and then separate it into episodes for the show, or no?
No, it was a full-on movie, and then what they did was they did the other seasons. So the movie was canon. So the other seasons came up afterwards.
Fair enough. All right, guys, that is our movie review of Transformers 1. Have you seen it yet? What was your favorite moment? Who was your favorite character? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Until next time, will be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adon.
Love you, bro.
Love you too.